Hey, I'm Sarah. Welcome to United Humans, a podcast that goes into the personal lives of our 6,000 plus volunteer medics and their families.
75-year-old male, possible cardiac arrest.
My name is Gavi Friedson.
I'm Dana. This is Ronnie. We're a couple.
I'm Vicky.
United Hatzalah's only mission is saving lives, and we'll discuss how that doesn't leave room for discrimination against color, race, religion, or sexual orientation.
Let's talk about fear, trauma, pain, and connection.
Join us. Let's discuss these diverse volunteers from all across the country. Welcome back to United Humans, the podcast where we go into the lives of our 6,000 plus medics, getting to know their human side, their story, where they're from. Wow, I am so excited to be sitting here today with maybe one of my favorite couples in Hatzalah, and there are many, but they definitely rank at my highest ranking. So Nechama and Tom, or should I say Tuvia? Ooh, busted! We'll have to discuss that.
Cat is
Eisenman, welcome. Thank you so much for joining today.
Of course, thank you so much for having us.
Wow.
We're super excited.
Thank you.
This
You've
is really
just made a
awesome.
suburban mom and dad very flattered. So
Oh my God, if they're not shepping nachas right now.
I was talking about myself.
I'm sorry, your
I was talking about
parents.
us. You're like, this is my favorite couple. I'm like,
Oh,
great.
no, really. Mamash, you guys you're awesome. I want to say that this episode was inspired by Tuba B'Av, not Tuba Shvat, Tuba Av, which is kind of like the Jewish Valentine's Day, although I don't like saying it like that, but that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
even more romantic.
Exactly.
It's a biblical
So in
romance.
honor
Yeah, it's
of
a
Tuba
biblically based.
Shvat, I wanted to bring in this unbelievable couple. Let's start with just giving some context. Where you live, kids, where you're from. Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Okay.
Ladies always first.
tuba
We
vibe.
live in Beit Shemesh. We are the proud parents of 3 beautiful little girls.
How old are they?
They are, Ahuva's our oldest. She's 10. Adina is 7. And Leah is 4. They're awesome. They keep us on our toes. They're probably the reason we run out on calls a lot. Like, incidentally, by bedtime, you know. They're great.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
How it works during bath time, bedtime, the excuses, how you play your cards. Okay, cool. Where are you from originally? You from Israel?
I'm originally from Maryland, from Baltimore. I made aliyah when I was 16.
With your
And
family?
With my family. I'm the oldest of 6. My parents were like, there's no better time to come to Israel than with a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, no
Wow.
joke, a 13.
So clearly they didn't consult with. No, I'm just
So
kidding.
you know what? They did, and then they were like, you know what, screw this, we're going anyway. And
Awesome.
thank God. It worked out really well.
Look at you. I
Baruch
mean, you look
Hashem.
pretty normal, healthy, balanced.
Thank you.
You survived.
Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. So Maryland, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
Passaic, New Jersey.
I heard of it.
Yeah, it's a nice place. Came here also when I was 16, but not on aliyah, not with my family. To yeshiva.
16. Why'd you come so
16.
early?
It's just what.
Running away.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the right fit. It just worked out well. It was a good fit.
Wow, and you've been here ever since?
I've been here ever since. At 18, I joined the army, and I was there for 3 years.
Wow.
And then finally, only after the army did I actually make aliyah, and then met Nechama and been here ever since.
Wow. What
Yeah.
part of what brigade or however
I
you
was
say
in
it?
Kfir in Nachal Haredi,
Oh.
Netzach Yehuda.
Nice.
Originally signed up, convinced my parents that it's like a 14-month volunteer from Chul program.
3 years later.
And 3 years later, and Miluim and all
We're
that.
very
It's
proud
great.
of you. Wow. And how'd you guys meet?
Here's how we met, okay? We have a mutual friend of our mom's, and she doesn't know us, but she's very good friends with both of our mothers, and she was like, you know what? I don't really know your kids, but I think that they would be like a good fit for each other. And whenever your mom suggests, like a mom's friend thinks that you should go out with their kid, like you just don't want to go out. Like it's just like a
Obviously.
Yeah.
ex, exactly. so we were not like too excited about that suggestion. But Tom did find me on Facebook, and he's like, hey, I hear they want us to get married.
Is that how he sounded on Facebook?
That is how he sounds. Also not on Facebook, yes.
Well, she's like, I was in America.
That's
and
my
this-
imitating people voice.
This lady was like bothering me to go out with her friend's daughter. I'm like, with all due respect, I'm not like taking dating advice from my mom's friend. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll go to Facebook. And I look, I'm like, yeah, okay, she's pretty cute. We can do this. And I just like messaged her. Literally that. Like,
Really?
hey, I heard they wanted us to get married.
And I was like,
Not go on a date, get married.
This lady's like bothering me.
I was like,
you
oh,
know?
I heard they want us to go on like a few dates
First.
But if you want to like go
Just
straight
skip
to
to the
marriage,
marriage.
save money, we'll
What
save
day
awkward
works?
small talk.
Tuesday? 8?
Exactly.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool. How long did you guys date for?
I
So
don't know,
even
for
from
like
that
2
point, we
years.
didn't even date. It was like a very long, involved process. We still never ended up getting that cup of coffee, and finally,
waiting
like,
on it.
yeah, we're still waiting. Here it is.
Maybe today after the,
brought you coffee.
the interview.
Right? Like a year in, so I was like a madricha in Tzfat. I wasn't really able to like meet him, whatever. Like we were 2 ships passing in the night. And then one time I went up to Tzfat and I met this girl named Nechama, and she said, wait, another girl named Nechama, and she's like, I know you. She's like, you're supposed to go out with my friend. She's like, you are not leaving here until you agree to go on a date with him. She's like, I even know how long this has been dragging out for.
That's crazy.
So I was like, all right, I just want to go home. All right, I'm in. So we went on a date.
Not a cup of coffee.
It was actually,
Yeah. I
no,
think-
yeah,
oh,
yeah. It was a walk, and then we did coffee the next date, and the dates were actually getting progressively better. We even went to the zoo on Som Gedalia. Fasting at the zoo is like a huge,
No.
but it was so yes. We had a great time.
Okay,
Like
good.
it was really fun. And then, how deep are we going here?
I mean, I wanted to hear how you guys
Just
met.
go,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Okay,
So
whatever,
how long have
babes.
you been married?
We've been married for 11 years.
I love the way you cut off
11
right
years.
when Nechama was about to say she
Oh.
then dumped me.
That is what I was
Yeah,
about to say.
all right,
Well,
good.
you
Like I
said
said,
on and off.
The
so I didn't
dates
know
were
how-
going great. Then I said to the
But
to the
yeah.
girl that was acting as her shotgun, this Nechama, I was like, listen, you know what? He's a great guy. I'm not going to continue going out with him now. I'll let you know, like in the future, if I decide to re-go out with him. And she misinterpreted what I said. She thought that I meant like, okay, I'll let you know when I want to go out with him next. So
And then it was just, and we literally just been, everyone just kept like suggesting it. It was getting weird.
yeah,
like
like we
10
weren't going
people.
out. We were getting a lot of signs from God that we should re-hook it up. And then finally, in the end,
And then
Here we are.
11 years
We
later,
did.
3 kids
Wow.
later, here we are.
So I'm curious to know, when you got married, neither one of you were a medic.
no.
So who was first?
I was actually, right when I got married, I signed up for a course with United Hatzalah. I was living over here down the block, like off of Mem Gimel, and I was going to start taking the course, but I was like just newly married, and it just like wasn't, I probably made the right decision. Just wasn't at the right time.
Don't add that to like, first year
No,
of
timing
marriage.
is everything. It's important. Why? There's nothing wrong with that. But then a few years later, I took the course at Beit Shemesh.
When was that? How many years ago?
I want to say like 6, 7 years at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
like 7 years at this point.
And you were always like affiliated with medical stuff? Is it something you've always loved, or was it just like, what was the reason
So like I
behind
said,
it?
for a while I really wanted to. I was planning on doing this years earlier. I like to help people. I don't know. I think it's to be able to. I also really like to be able to do something if I'm in that position, and not just be able to have my hands tied and not be able to help. So, yeah, definitely something. I don't know if medicine was such like a big desire of it. And then and then me and my brother took it together in Beit Shemesh like 7 years ago. And today I have 2 other brothers who are part of Hatzalah, one
Really?
in America, one here in Old City.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I know your brother in Beit Shemesh. He was in one of our movies.
Exactly. Yes, he shows. I have another brother in the Old City who also took it a few years after we did. I have a little brother in America who's a nurse practitioner, runs Hatzalah of Lake Passaic over there. I have a sister who's a nurse. So
It's in the family.
yeah.
but it was never like a thing as like a kid. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then how many years later did you say, oh my God, I also want to get out of Beth time and dinner time. I need a reason to get out.
I'm trying. How many years later was it? I've been there for about 2 years now, I would say.
Like 4 or 5 years after.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years later.
It's
I'm always a little like
incredible.
late to the party, so here I am. I've always had a lot of admiration for what Hatzalah does. So I joined Hatzalah about
Like 2, 3 years ago.
2-3 years ago, 5 years after he did. I always really admired his work in Hatzalah. And how could you not? You know. The funny thing is that I never really had an aspiration to be part of Hatzalah, except when I was about 5 years old, we were in the bungalow colony, and it was a Friday night. My mother was lighting candles, and me and my little sister were playing like that fish game where you like magnetically, and there's like magnet fish, and you're fishing them. My sister started choking on one of the fish. She was a baby. She was like 4 or 5 years younger than me. So I immediately ran to my mother, and I was like, "Ma, the baby's choking!" Like I was freaking out, and I don't really remember so much, but I remember vividly this Hatzalah man, a man like, you know, in a red or yellow vest or whatever, coming up the steps of the bungalow colony in middle of Friday night davening you know, and he comes and he saved my sister. He must have done the Heimlich or whatever. And I just still remember as a 5-year-old child being so blown away and impressed. Like, this person that doesn't know us, this random Hasidic man in the middle of davening in the bungalow, is just leaving and coming to save somebody. So it must have been buried deep in my subconscious because
Stuck with you.
it stuck with me, you know,
made an
and then,
impression.
you know, over 2 decades later, here
It's
I
so
am.
interesting. You wouldn't believe how many medics tell me stories from when they were 4, 5, 6. And then that always makes me feel terrible because I grew up with a medical fragile sister who, that's how we know your family, which I'll tell you about in a second.
Wow.
But my sister, I grew up with Hatzalah constantly in my house in 24-hour nursing, and her room looked like a hospital room.
Wow.
So I grew up with medical emergencies my entire life, and I went the opposite direction. And every time Ellie's like, "Are you going to be a medic soon?" No. I'm like,
Seriously, by the way, when?
So that's the thing. It can go both ways. You either get inspired or you get traumatized.
Well, you're still doing a lot of great work with it. Just you know.
I'm totally that person that like just panics, freezes, and like and runs away. So I don't know.
But
if
I
I'd be
think
the
it's so
best.
beautiful how you're still contributing so much of yourself.
Oh, thank
to,
you.
Yeah.
It's ironic.
For
That's
this
what I
amazing
say.
cause.
I said of all the places I ended up working, it's quite ironic that I ended up
Right.
in Hatzalah. But very grateful always to Hatzalah and all the work that they do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention it's actually pretty funny because let's just talk about this whole thing. How did you get the name Tom?
Ooh. Wow, we are really.
This
I
really,
thought you said we're
going
gonna
to
keep it light today.
No, because this
Oh.
crazy article came out of Mishpacha where his real identity was revealed. So now we all know his new. How long were you trying to hide that from the world?
I was never trying to hide it. First of all, like even on the radio when I go on a call, if you look, it will say Tovia.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't actually. Yeah, it's not really hidden.
Like your tallest bag doesn't say Tom.
No,
Okay, just
it
kidding.
should. No, it does not. Yeah.
Rabbeinu Tam.
All
Nice.
all Jewish stuff are generally Tovia.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a kid in my early teens, it kind of became a nickname. I don't know who really. Probably.
No, I know
my
why.
friends.
It's his
What?
family makes nicknames for their children
Oh.
that are like regular
Well, it's
names.
not my
but
family.
secular
My
names.
siblings. Yeah.
It really originated with their housekeeper couldn't pronounce his brother's name Aryeh, so she called him Harry, like Harry. So once there was a Harry, then Nasano
Why not have a
became
Tom?
Nate. And why not have a Tom?
Harry and
then,
Tom.
Harry and Tom.
Yeah, but I'm the only one who
Sounds
really
like a 60s
stuck.
show. Harry and Tom. Harry and Tom.
Totally.
But no one else stuck. No one else
it.
goes by it. And then it just really kept on going. In the army, nobody called me Tom ever. Like I said, when first in Israel, it was only Tovia. In yeshiva, they called me Tovia. But then, like after, I don't know, joined the workforce and just it really picked up. But even growing up, all my really good friends called me Tom. Like as a teenager, that was
interesting.
just like a nickname.
Cool.
And now it's really become like.
So like nobody would know he was Jewish, you know.
Yeah, you have to make sure you
Definitely.
can't have
You don't
anyone.
look Jewish.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's a
Can't
very
have anyone know
Jewish
you're
comment.
Jewish and Passaic, right?
Definitely not. Speaking of looking Jewish, no, I was gonna say, like, come on, your last name's Eisman. Like, it's not such a secret who your father is. He's become more and more well known.
Yeah.
Would you like to announce it?
To announce.
No, I'm just kidding. Your father is.
Rabbi Ron Yitzchak Eisenman.
So how did he? I thought maybe that was like a thing. Ron, Yitzchak, Tom,
Oh,
Tovia.
that's actually very interesting.
I thought maybe it was like a thing in your family.
Yeah, he's one of the few people who still call me Tovia.
Oh,
So
okay.
definitely not from him. His actually name is not his real name is more of like the Israeli, like Ron.
Ron.
My grandfather's Israeli.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like a thing.
Yeah, interesting fun fact. My family's been in Israel since the late 1800s, late
Wow.
1700s with the Talmidei Agra.
Wow.
Yeah, his ancestor, his great-great-grandfather was Yoel Moshe Solomon.
If you're
Like-
familiar,
Like Nachlat Shiva, he like settled the whole town area.
Of
like,
course.
if you go by
By
Kikar
Grad
Tzion,
Square, yeah.
on Rehov Yafo, that's
Oh.
Rehov Yoel Moshe Salman.
That's basically my history. It comes down to street names. So.
Exactly.
Wow.
So right over there,
Wow, so
but
you
he's really
close.
run more of a thing. So actually interesting because you mentioned my father's article in Mishpacha, and I've literally just been getting for the last 2-3 days tons and tons of people go, I didn't make the connection. Oh, I didn't know that's your father.
That's who you are.
And yeah, all the time. It's funny. People always come over to me and tell me about his articles, and they love it. They this, and really 99% of the time, I have no idea what they're
I
referring
just
to.
like nod.
Like, oh, they,
Yes, it was excellent.
Yeah, like I don't read all of. If I get to like say good Shabbos to him before Shabbos, we're in a good week. Not that we're not close. I just we're both busy. We live in other time zones. And then I didn't even realize about this one off either until it just like everyone's been coming over to me. And
So I read it last night.
yeah.
There was a nice plot
It
twist
was,
in there.
It was very beautiful. It was a nice plot twist. He's a good writer. I think that, well, let me just tell you how I met your father. I think I
Yes.
told you the story, but Nechama maybe doesn't know. But when I was in 12th grade, I went to Berea. This is many decades ago. I was sitting, and this rabbi comes in with quite a presence and a very long red beard. And he sits down, and with a and it was like silent, right? He just took total control of the classroom. And it was the first day, so he was going through attendance and calling out the names. So this name, that, Esther Rosenberg, whatever. And he gets to Sarah Labovich. He pauses. He strokes his beard. He says, "From Washington Heights?" I said, "Yes, originally." He strokes his beard. Silence. Dramatic pause. "Your father started a fire at my Seder table in 1988. Oh my God. I was like, "What? Who are you?" So it turns out that your parents were my sister that I was just talking about lived in Columbia Presbyterian for 3 years until she was 3 years old.
Yeah.
She lived in the ICU.
I was born there.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And your parents were actually very, very involved in helping me. I think your mom even babysat me. And your family was very involved. And only years later did I get to know him again, spending a lot of time in Passaic. And I think what's really interesting is that he's really tackled some very difficult taboo topics in the Jewish community. And that's really where he's become more known. So I just, I have a lot of respect for him. And this article is very special because it really, you want to tell us about the article? I don't have to say it for you.
No, go for it. You're doing a great job.
You're doing great.
Tell us.
I'm still wondering about the fire at the Seder table.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Abba. I had to say that live. But something caught on to the candles. I don't know. Don't worry. He forgives you, Abba.
Yeah, they're really good parents. They're really amazing. And it wasn't so much really, my father's always been a figure who, like you said, takes control of the classroom. And I guess maybe 15, 20 years ago when, sexual abuse started coming out into the public and my father just couldn't stop taking a stand against it of just it was it is the most important thing of just making sure that Jewish kids and all kids are safe and health is number one most important thing. And so it was very, in the beginning, especially in the general Haredi world, it was not as widely accepted to talk about it and oust and this. And my father just he didn't care. I mean, this was the right thing.
Famous Erev Yom Kippur speech, I think, pretty much went viral, if I remember that correctly.
Exactly. And it didn't come with, it came with a lot of hate mail and a lot of, not everyone accepted it with love. And so he's, that's just been a thing for a while. It's funny because growing up, it wasn't, none of our lives back then was it a prominent topic. And now that's completely changed.
No, absolutely.
And then this article, it was really, I fly to America quite often for work, once a month.
You want to tell the audience what you do?
Yeah, sure. I work for an awesome company called Cause Match.
And they sponsored this. Not just
they are fine. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Cause Match. What we do is we actually help. We've worked with United Hatzalah in the past and hopefully one day again. What we do is we work with nonprofits to help them do correct crowdfunding campaigns. So I run the sales team, the onboarding team, and I get to fly to America quite often, which has its things. Nechama's making
pros and cons. We'll get to her.
And the way, anytime I fly to America is I always need to be up very early to work with my Israeli office, which is great. It's nice. It's quiet. And then I'm out on the road meeting clients, meeting campaigns, things like that. And my father always, as a kid, I'm one of seven. My father worked hard. I didn't have so much one-on-one time with my dad growing up. Just life was, difficult back then, and people were working hard. So for the past few months, every time I'm coming, he's like, "Hey, you wanna go grab some coffee? I'm like, "Yeah, listen, Ty, I'd love to, but I got work to do. When I'm leaving, I'm going back. Are you gonna be here for Shabbos? No, I'm gonna be back in Israel." And it's become this thing of him, he wakes up, can we do it early? I really don't have any time. It's like that song, right?
The Cats in the Cradle.
Cats in the Cradle, exactly. Thank you.
Totally.
I actually sent that song to my father, but he was pretty insulted. He didn't see the humor.
That was the message you wanted to get across.
Yeah.
He was insulted, but it prompted him to write a really good article.
Well, then, because you wrote in the article, so what happened was just last time, I guess it was May, I was in America. And he kept asking. My mother was down in Florida visiting my grandmother. And he just like messaged me during the day. He's like, yo, can you grab dinner? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Okay. He's like, okay, here's the address at Restaurant Englewood. We went, we had dinner. And as we were leaving, it's good dinner. I was like, hey, let's go for a little walk. Because what happens is once I'm in America, usually I'm also working in the evening hours here in Israel because I have American clients. But in America, this beautiful thing happens. From like 7 p.m., my phone is silent. It's like Yom Kippur. Because in Israel, everyone's sleeping, my kids, everyone. And in America, 7, no, I don't really have clients bother me. So I have this like window from 7 p.m. to like 11:45.
Wow.
Of just
Quiet.
Quiet. I mean, my dad just went for a walk, and we sat on a park bench. And we just had a really, really great DMC. It was awesome.
It's really,
it
really
was
special.
like, yeah.
It was a really
Say no, we
beautiful
wrote about
article.
it.
Maybe we'll put the link in the text.
Yeah, please do.
So it was very special. And I think that it's funny because we definitely don't sum up or decide who people are according to their parents. But definitely knowing who your father is, I can already, I've gotten to know you over the last few years, but that you're just such phenomenal people. Besides being an adorable couple, they're super cute. They also are just running a family and running out to calls, which is just so crazy. So you became more known when the picture came out of the two of you sitting in that ambulance. So is that something you guys do often, not so often? Go on ambulance
I don't
trips?
know what picture you're referring to exactly, because there was a picture where, like, on my first call that I ever went to, Tom was also there, like, unbeknownst to me.
Oh, you just
and then
both
they quickly
showed
just
up?
like snapped a
yeah.
picture. He was on his
wow.
motorcycle, I was in my car. So that was the picture.
That was like
I thought you
literally,
were
that was
referring
fun. I guess our ambulance shift, I don't know, there are a bunch. We do like to take ambulance shifts. So truth be told, during the regular day, we don't really end up going on so many calls together. Work, kids, one of us
someone has to watch those kids,
or just she's at work, I'm at work, and we'll be going, like I'm in Yerushalayim pretty much every day. So we do try to, as often, sometimes more, less than often, take an ambulance shift, usually on Fridays.
Yeah, it's ironic that like Friday is the day then we can. Everyone's like, "Aren't you cooking?" I'm like, "Yes, but at least I'm not working. Like I can."
We can like go
out
out.
in the
It's a
ambulance
good
for a few
time.
hours.
Yeah, it's just
for
like
sure.
everything. It's a good time. So we've gotten.
Still going out for breakfast. You're going ambulance shift.
We can do both. Like
We can do
it's
both.
just like a shift, and then we'll just leave. Don't pay for the break. No, I'm kidding. Run out.
Run out.
It's a great bonding experience. We
It
really
really
love
is.
it.
the driver?
It's very special.
Either
Tom
one.
is the driver. I'm not an ambulance driver
Yet?
yet.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people ask me when they're in the car with me if I am an ambulance driver, and I'm not sure if it's a compliment or not. I'm just
You mean
gonna
in the
take
car
it as a
generally?
Based on the way
when-
you drive?
based on the way I drive. They tell me that I drive like manically and very fast, but
Note
also
to
safe.
self, do
Also
not get
safe.
into the car.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of that's so interesting. You both just showed up to a call without knowing.
yeah, it was a local call in the neighborhood. It was my first ever call after I,
Wow.
finished my Hishtalmut, and it was really cool. It was
I was
wasn't
like
something crazy. It was a bus.
I don't know about your parents or in the supermarket,
A bus
and
that
I
had
just left from
stopped
the house.
short, and a woman, an elderly woman, was like thrown forward.
Oh wow.
So she was like a bit shaken, and he was there too. And David left was like, "Oh my God, Almost here."
He's the chapter
And
head.
yeah,
Yeah, he's the head
Lovely.
chapter.
That's really cool. I mean, that
Yeah.
says a lot. How often do you go on calls? Let's start with you, Nechama. Like, what would you say? I don't need like statistics or whatever, but in general, what would you say?
I
Like,
have tikufot where I go more often than not. Ideally, I would aim for one a week. It does not always happen. I know most people aim for one a day. It's just hard. My kids
you're
are
a
young.
mom.
I
Are
work
you
full
kidding?
time,
You know what my stats are? 0. So
But here's what I do. Me and Tom, we were actually just discussing this on the way over. We're not like in Hatzalah for the hak. Like we're not like these like machers running around with like keychains on our belt. And I'm not like saying that anyone else is. I'm just saying like we go on a call if there's a real necessity for us to be there. If it's really close to where we live, if it's in the vicinity, if we can get there within those 90 seconds, if we can get there within those 90 seconds and like we go when we're needed, So actually, for instance, one of the reasons why we came a bit late to the podcast this morning was because there was a call about somebody having arrhythmia, like heart issues, in our
great reason to be late.
like
Yeah.
near where we live, not like right next door, but it wasn't like an old Beit Shemesh. It was like in our location. So I was like, all right, nobody's answering, Tom. I'm going on this call. So what I do pride myself on is that I go on calls when I'm needed, when no one else is responding, and also when I think that I can really be of help
like if it's a women's
in
call.
that unique female way.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really important because that's really what we've been pushing here at United Hatzalah is the women's initiative and the importance of having women step up for those sensitive female calls.
Thank God. Yeah.
So that's incredible.
I think there's so many times, by the way, that people, we don't even like you, Ellie, didn't even like realize we were out on Fridays. We go on a lot of calls on Fridays together. Just works out when we're together. It's probably like the only day. That's Israel Sunday for all you American
In
listeners.
quotes, Israel Sunday.
Yeah.
The day where we mow the lawn and make pancakes.
Wash our cars. So there was a car accident in Beit Shemesh, and we were both there, and we were like driving to Zura, and then I was like dealing with the other medics of someone injured and this, and thank God everyone was good, and like I turned over to like, okay, we're done. Please, everything's calls over as far as I'm concerned. And Nechama was with the driver, this young Haredi girl who's totally
young, like 16-year-old, really, really shaken. Like she was freaking out.
Totally, guy. Nechama's like hugging her and like totally has become a chosin, like
like thank God she was
psychotrauma.
like totally medically okay. It was a huge miracle.
So it's just like a good
But
hug.
sometimes you just need a hug. You need like a mommy there, and her own mother happened to have been there. But like you need somebody in a position of authority that will also just be able to hug you and like women.
It is dramatic. You're there. There's a car accident. It's Friday. Honking. This guy. Police are
it
coming.
could have ended really
Fire
badly.
department.
It was a very
I was in a major car
dangerous,
accident. Me and my 3 kids were hit by a truck on the
wow.
first day of Chol at Pesach. And
Whoa.
Kalani Taub, if you know who that is.
I do.
She was the first one at the scene, and I was incredibly shaken up. And thank God, we had to go to the emergency room, but thank God nothing serious,
That's good.
other than the car being totaled. But the biggest help she did was just holding my hand
is
and
a rock
looking at me
star.
in the eyes.
Yeah.
That was
But-
like...
Yeah.
And that's not just like a stum. That's why we have the entire psychotrauma unit. Like,
So either one of you officially,
No,
but unofficially,
not
everyone
unofficially.
is.
Yeah,
A hug, holding hands.
Yeah.
That's the most important part. Wow.
it's really.
So I'm going to use that as a springboard because we've been talking a lot about psychotrauma in terms of the medics giving to bystanders, right? But I wanted to focus for a little bit. Have you ever been on, what people don't know about as much is that we also very, very much are doing psychotrauma on our medics.
Right.
So I wanted to know if either one of you had an example of something traumatic, difficult, a very hard story that you went through where you did get a psychotrauma call from the team, and if you can share that story with us.
Yeah.
I did one time. I actually did before I became a medic when I was still in the course of Hatzalah. One of our course members was going through a health issue, and she fainted one day during the course. And it was pretty crazy for all of us women in the course to just be like, oh my God, well, this is happening in real time. And we saw our incredible madricha, how do you call it?
Yeah.
We saw our incredible madrichat course, Ravital Coriel, who is like,
You did it in Hebrew.
God, she's freaking amazing.
Yeah, it
This
was in
woman,
Oh, wow. I thought you did
Ravital
it in
and
EMT.
We actually
She's
both
just
did the
incredible.
courses in Hebrew.
Wow. Kol hakavod.
we saw her just jump into action, just like how she taught us. And it was incredible. But after that incident, we did receive a call like, hi, I know that you were present in the class yesterday when so-and-so fainted. I'm just wondering, do you have anything to discuss? And, can I talk it out with you, whatever. And it's really amazing that they do that.
That's fantastic to hear that.
They're
I'm really
super
happy.
on top
Yeah,
of it.
I'm a huge
Yeah?
proponent of that. I think it's incredible that Hatzalah is providing this.
We
No,
are
really.
trailblazers and pioneers in the field of showing up for trauma on the scene.
in every
No,
way
what
possible.
they really-
Before, after, during, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is hard. I've had it also. Pretty much any difficult calls. I mean, unsuccessful CPRs. Not gonna. We said we're gonna keep it light. But
Well,
yeah,
the reality is the reality, right?
and they're really good. I had last year in Beit Shemesh, I responded to a really difficult call and it was unsuccessful. And it wasn't just like a one call. It was like again, and then like the next day, like a WhatsApp, just like checking, like really not just like checking. That was like really when I realized like it wasn't just checking. Okay, we called. Tom said he's good. We'll move on in life.
did it
like
again.
it was like again they like sent like another person because I have a friend of mine who's also part of us in the psychotrauma unit, and also like a WhatsApp 2 days later, just wanted to follow up.
That's really important.
Yeah, I've since like kind of also learned a little bit from it. Like it was another call also I wasn't on, but I have like I know my friend responded. Most of them because they're my friend. One particular friend who's very sensitive, and I like also I made sure to like a point. I was like, that was really helpful when they did that to me, and I called them. I'm not part of psychotrauma. I'm just like, if you want to talk about it with
That's
friends,
really, really beautiful.
you did everything you could,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's really special to hear that.
Yeah.
How often do you go on calls?
A few times a week.
A few times a week. And you have an ambucycle?
I have an ambucycle.
And that happened at what point? How many years after you graduated or before or same time?
No, I think within a year.
Within a year.
Even in the beginning, I was super active. I'm still very active, but I was also living on like a more central location. Some more calls in that region and just work schedule and younger, and I had that more time in hand. But I'm also really active, and I was in London last month speaking at the United Hatzalah dinner.
Tell us about that.
That was awesome.
I didn't know
He's
anything
amazing.
about that.
Oh yeah,
He's
nothing.
the best.
I wasn't involved in that at all.
You did know.
No, you were a fantastic representative.
It was.
Amen.
It was a huge honor. It was a whole new honor that I never had.
Well, we should say that Tom is one of our ambassadors. We have an
Yes.
ambassador program, and he is an ambassador for United Hatzalah to go world-renowned and represent the 6,200 plus medics out there. Maybe Nechama, you'll get on the next ambassador.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
We would
Maybe if
love
I can
that.
work on my articulate speech and not throwing IDF under the bus, stuff like that.
Nothing.
Keep bringing
By
it
the way,
up.
we're
It's
gonna- we're
be-
gonna cut
yes,
that out, right?
I'll bring it up.
Okay.
Anything you want to cut.
Maybe
you
we
just
should
say
also
cut.
change how many calls I go on a week.
Okay, how many calls do you go on a week, Nechama?
You know what? I aim for like 3 a week. I do. It doesn't always happen.
It's
like
not
that.
quantity, it's quality.
It is
really,
quality.
really is. It's about
Amen.
what, you know, like you said, the need, you know?
Yeah.
If people just go on calls because they want to rank up the numbers and there's 10 people there and they're just standing around. Like we had I don't know if you guys know, there was this year of volunteer kind of initiative that we kicked off at the beginning of the year. And one of the programs that we did was that the people who had the most calls were getting like rewarded. They were getting like hotel things.
Nice.
And I was not into that. I was really not into that. But
Just
just
because
because someone's bored and not working. I mean, do you guys work?
Yes.
do.
Okay, do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay, you stuff to do in life.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that, you know, like they should get, I don't know. People just go out.
Yeah,
Right,
we're
yeah,
there to
you're
help.
right.
I'll tell you also, besides for just only actual calls, to a lot of Nechama's credit, we are become like the neighborhood nurses.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's
That is.
literally every
So
single
if I count
day.
those, it's like one a day. Yeah.
It's one a day. There's a kid with a
sure.
cut. There's a kid with a hospital. There's
And you're the go-to people.
every Shabbos 2 or 3. Like
Yeah.
that's kavua.
Wow.
And it's really funny because like they'll pass doctors or paramedics or nurses' houses to come to our house.
That says a lot.
But there's like a
always say like
confidence
that,
of
right,
like,
right.
yeah, you know, can I go now? Is this? I'm always like, listen, I'm not your rabbi. That's like my father's job. I can just tell medically, I'm here to help out. We're here to help. But yeah,
Do you keep your bags in the house on Shabbos?
we have a house teak. We have a house bag.
Oh.
One in each car.
Wow, you have 3
We're
teaks?
covered.
4. We have motorcycles, 2 cars.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty neat. I never even heard of that before.
Yeah. We
Okay, so let's talk about bath time. So it's dinner time. We have 3 little kids, and a call comes in. Who's the one that runs out?
Okay.
first I need to be home for dinner.
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Okay, let's pretend.
First, I have to assume that we're both in the house and that people are getting bathed. No, kidding. No, but like sometimes I'm the only one in the
Your
house.
children are bathed.
Yes,
Right.
that's a good
No,
assumption.
they are. Sometimes I'm the only one in the house, and like I can't leave. I'll also kind of gauge like if my kids are in a situation where like I can be to my oldest. I hope, do you mind like waiting with the kids? Mom just wants to go on a quick call, or needs to go on a quick. Mom needs to go on a quick call, but you know sometimes it's that time of the evening where they really need you. There's like an emotional component there, so a lot of times I'll just not go, especially if it's not something nearby. In the event that we are both home and we are in the midst of parenting duties, we'll kind of send the person who's like the most fit for the job. Not like one of us is more fit, but like in the
No,
an
it's
answer.
it's really very clear. You
It's
know,
a birth. It's not
If
Nechama.
it-
yeah,
Yeah,
if it's a birth, it's
exactly.
me. If it's a if it's a 16-year-old Haredi girl who got burnt, it's me. You know, on her upper thigh.
I think she's relating to a particular story.
That's so random.
That's
That
not the
was
way
a very
calls come
That's
out.
very specific.
Calls
That
do
was a
not
very
come out,
specific
like,
example.
basing
But
on
no, they
people's-
could sometimes come out. Like sometimes a call will come out, and somebody who's already on the call will specifically request a female volunteer.
Yeah,
So
that's
in
pretty
that
common
case.
also. Yeah, but it really, truth be told, I usually go out, but it depends. Unless it's like a female
It's
related.
mainly them,
Right.
but yeah.
What do you work as? We missed that.
Oh, I'm a copywriter. I write ads.
Nice. Cool. Like
Love
for your own business? Or
No,
you
no,
work
no.
for somebody?
I work for an advertising agency. Mainly ad tech, digital, Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Exactly.
Love it. Thank God. I
you
really
guys are
enjoy
You
it.
see like those ads on Facebook, like use this workout for 30 days and lose 30 pounds.
Nechama?
Those are written 9 times out of 10 by Nechama.
Good to know. Wow.
You'd be
Yeah.
amazed what people will buy. Yes.
I
No,
know.
really, really great products.
I mean,
They're
I'm
great, everyone,
partially in
but-
marketing as well. So,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So wow, my brain is like going in 10 different places. I want to ask you so many different things. I'm trying to like rein it in, Zara. I wanted to know basically your kids, how they've been influenced and what I mean, obviously they're heroes, right? More than one way. But how
They
has
are
this
amazing.
influenced their childhood? And what do you think in terms of chinuch this is giving them to see their parents running out and the flash orange ambucycle and, you know?
I will say that for the past 3 years consecutively, they have dressed up as Hatzalah volunteers for Purim.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That
Which I
says
think
everything.
which is a huge indicator.
Yeah,
like, right?
absolutely.
Like what
That
you
says
dress up on
everything.
Purim, especially as a child, is like, that's who you want to be.
Right.
They're,
So that is always, and every year I'm like, really again? They're like, yeah.
yeah, I
That's
think
really
it's
sweet.
they're really
Special.
great. They know it. Like it happens often. Like especially when we're in the car on a trip or picking up my kid from school or something, and a call will come out.
They'll
that's
wait in the car, and
that's
my
like a
ahuva will
very-
like
Wow.
entertain her sisters, and
They get it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's like a huge comment, or just middle of, obviously not in the middle of kids in the bath and making safety is the number one thing. Scene
Right.
safety, your own safety. So we learned that in medical course. Obviously, the house needs to be safe, but often we'll run out in the middle of a meal, the middle of doing something else that's become very second nature. The only backlash or the downside to it is they're smart. So like, I don't feel well, I can't go to school. I'm like, yeah, you're good. What type of Hatzalah member are you
I
anyhow?
can't believe you guys are in Hatzalah. Why are you not giving me a Band-Aid for this, headache?
They know how to play their
You know,
cards right.
Yeah, like
My
that's like a
kids.
common insult. I can't believe you're not Hatzalah. Like, don't you see I'm so injured and can't go to school? I'm like, I think it'll be okay.
But it's really amazing that it's so young. They really understand.
It's really cool, and I think actions speak louder than words. So a lot of times, just you want to like teach your kids like, oh, it's important to help people. It's important to help people, but without us having to say anything, just them seeing us run out on a call or in the middle of a Chalamite trip,
It's incredible.
stop the car and help someone. It's really. I hope that we're able to impart that to them,
Yeah.
and I think we have.
I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've read so many books about like the idea of chinuch being really just planting seeds. Like Rav Volbe has a book about
Yeah.
that. I love that. It's just about, let's see, in another few years, 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah. I think they also have plans to be medics.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
So.
that's that'll be a cool day.
It's really
when,
Yeah.
they join us on the calls as well.
Let's jump for a minute. There's a story that's sticking out in my head. It was a very cool story. Somewhere up north on vacation. Don't remember the details.
It actually happened twice.
Twice.
It
Okay,
happened
let's
twice.
hear it.
We can't make this up.
Yeah.
We like to summer up in the north. We'll like take a simmer or whatever with the
last
family.
summer?
So this was.
We did it
the one
last
that you're
summer.
referring to is already 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago, and
Started as our own
then
first, and-
and then it happened. It's crazy every time we go up north. So the way it works, just for all the audience, is even if you have like your region of where your radio will work, but even not, you have the GPS tracker that will just track you, and they will let you know.
Basically Uber.
Basically Uber, but Uber, if doesn't find a driver, they'll just go back to sleep. That doesn't happen at Hatzalah. If they don't find a responder, they will actively start calling you on your personal cell phone and get your butt out of bed. So it was
Big
7.
difference.
Yeah, huge
Yeah.
difference. I can talk about that more for a second. So we were up north in this little village called Stay Eliezer. 7 o'clock in the morning, my phone rings, and Hatzalah dispatcher, are you in Stay Eliezer?
We were like, what?
What?
Yes.
Why are you asking me where I am? What are you talking about? Like, I'm on vacation. Okay, listen, down the road, there's, a CPR in progress. Whoa, quickly, like, jump,
So did that mean your Bluebird wasn't on?
means my Bluebird is on, but you can't, you can't talk to you on your Bluebird. They sent the Logos, the app probably beeped, but it was probably like in the other room. And we were on like
It just
vacation,
wasn't next to
just
you.
like,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't have like my nightstand, like what we usually have. Like, yeah.
Okay.
So they called me on my cell phone. And me and Nechama quickly jumped up. We got dressed. I was like,
We ran out.
right in
Pajamas.
pajamas. As kids are already like, it's, up north, they're all playing over there. And we just like look at our oldest Ahuva, like, yo, we're going. And we jump in the car. And then I'm like, I have no idea where to go because there's no, these.
It's like a moshab, so there's no addresses.
You know,
just, like, know
Meshach
people by their
43
family
is
name,
not a thing. There's nothing to do.
Right.
So I called the dispatch center back, and they just like track you. like a GPS. Okay, go to the
Wow.
left, go to the right. You'll see a building over there.
Wow.
And we got there, and we performed CPR on this
It
gentleman.
was just the two of
There
you?
was an elderly man.
Yeah, we were first,
we
and
were first on scene,
then
and-
came another Konan from United Hatzalah from Tzvat, I think he may have came.
Yeah.
And then eventually
And then
came an ambulance came. And we were
And
successful.
we all took turns doing CPR. Me, him, the other volunteers that came, and
How long was this CPR?
it was a while. How long were we there?
About 45 minutes, half
45
hour, right? It was,
Wow.
and it
And
was
we got a
successful.
pulse.
It was awesome.
Wow.
It was amazing.
It was,
Yeah.
That's just wild.
It was
I don't even know.
crazy.
So there's no such thing as vacation.
yeah. And then it happened again last year. We were there up north again
the
with
chances?
my
Same
my
thing,
brothers,
with the
with
brother
a
that's
different
the- yeah.
city, and also a call came out for a CPR in an old Hage home in some village.
In
also,
Jish, in like a
Jish,
Christian
this-
Arab village.
Yeah, it's Christian Arab village,
that
place
spot.
Jish, and we ran over again. This time it was me, Nechama, and my brother. It was unsuccessful. It was an older lady, but it was really, we were there. We were able to be there. My father actually wrote a whole story about it.
Oh,
Also,
really?
another story.
Another
about-
mishpacha that we didn't buy, and everyone was like, "I love that article." I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." Then I read it, and I was like, "Oh, okay,
So if
well."
anyone's looking to get them a gift, a subscription.
no, we good. We
Yeah.
take people's like
Yeah, exactly.
leftovers.
It's interesting that so many times when medics say, "Oh, it was successful, it was unsuccessful," I challenge them on that because what you mean to say is they didn't make it,
Yeah.
but I would still say it was successful if I could.
Because people were there, exactly.
People showed up.
People
and
showed
they
up.
Did their
People
best,
did
and
their
the rest
best.
is not in your control. So
Yeah.
it's always successful. Some people make it, some people don't.
Yeah.
I was actually really interested. My dad wrote about, but this lady, it was like this village called Jish, which is Christian Arab village, a nursing home, and obviously we didn't know until later, but it was a Jewish patient.
Wow.
So we were like kind of really able to be there, which in Judaism
That was like
is
the
like
crux of the article.
So could read my dad's art. We'll give
It
more
was
push for my
That's
dad's
the
art.
second link we're gonna be.
Yeah.
Your father's getting a lot of
Well,
free
he thought it was
advertising.
about us. It's
Special,
all about
and
him.
we said Shema with her. And
Wow.
Yeah.
How'd you figure out she was
So
Jewish?
I did not even.
They told us the nursing staff over there and the thing, and they told her the names. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that was cool. And yeah, that happens. I don't know why. Just anytime up north. Those, by the way, are some of the craziest. It's like when you really realize the greatness of Hatzalah.
If you weren't there,
Yeah.
When we get a call in our neighborhood, there's like 15 people on scene. Like it's just there's like I was saying before. Like we go if there's a real necessity. But when we go up north, there's a lot fewer volunteers.
Right.
There's a lot more isolation in terms of like the small moshavim. So yeah, that like Tom's saying, you really, really see like, wow, this is what we're here for.
it's incredible.
This is where that complete
and that's
unification.
really the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what United Hatzalah was created
Yeah.
for originally. We
Yeah.
always,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
He always says that, like, Ellie's always like, the reason we can say 90 seconds in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, which are metropolitan cities, but we can't say that for everywhere else, is because that's the reality.
Yeah.
We've got hundreds in Beit Shemesh, and we only have scattered up
But
north.
you should know it happens in Jerusalem also. I was 2 months ago in my office on a Gripas, right by the Shuk, very centrally located.
Oh, I saw that story. That was also written up.
Yeah, no, another. So I have get called all the time by the office. I go on that calls.
Okay.
That was a different story.
Because
Which
I
was,
saw you were like on a meeting. For
yeah,
work.
exactly. I was on a meeting, and then a kid was struck by a bus right in front of me. But a different time, I was in my office, and same exact thing happened. I had my Bluebird there, but sometimes like when I go to my office, I'll take my keys and put them on my desk, and then I was in the conference room, and they again called me from the Moked, and they're like, "Yo, you're on a Gripas 88." I'm like, "Yeah." And like, "Okay, there is active CPR in progress in your building. You got to go."
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, this building's huge. Where? What? And like, okay, hold on. This is crazy. And I'm like debating if I should go down to my car, -5, in the elevator. And I was like, okay, where is it? Go down to the elevator, go down to the first floor, take a left, take a right. There's a dialysis center over there. And I got there. And there was also, what people don't a lot of times realize is even at a dialysis center, they're not equipped or ready to do CPR. And I was first on scene.
Wow.
And he did CPR on this older gentleman. Also was successful. And I was by myself with the staff over there for a good few minutes until another motorcycle Konan came of United Hatzalah. I'm not exaggerating, 15 minutes an ambulance showed up.
Yeah.
This is in the heart of Yerushalayim at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they transported, and I just went back upstairs. And like, when I come, I was like, where were you? Like, we're just we were in the middle of a meeting. You bounced. I was like, oh yeah, I actually just did CPR downstairs. What were we discussing?
I can't imagine. It's such hard. How do you shift? It's like years on a car. Like, how do you just go from that? Don't you need time after to like process and?
Yeah, it's a good point. You do sometimes need time.
Do you speaking of psychotrauma, do you guys process with each other? Like for the really difficult calls, are you the ones you go to each other for like?
We do sometimes.
Sometimes.
After.
She probably processes with me more than I process.
No, there have been definitely times.
Yeah,
that
no,
you need
we
more
definitely have.
also.
That's it. Yeah,
of course, and we're grateful that we
to
have each other.
that teamship between you.
We
sure.
actually,
Baruch
yeah, a call earlier that I mentioned in Beit Shemesh, which was like a Friday night, and it was a crazy, crazy call. And like Nechama, we were up at like 2:30 in the morning, like just discussing. And it was really helpful to have someone who you can discuss,
Right.
and understand.
Yeah, who
You
knows?
go home
you
and
know?
there's someone to
And
talk
it's-
to about
yeah,
it.
it was. That's
Yeah.
true. It was like a middle of the night. We like sat up in our bed and like 2:30.
I'm
and
sure.
Yeah.
Has it brought, if I can ask, we can scratch this if you guys don't want to, but having this bond, has it made your relationship like deeper, or just I'm saying, what would be the difference between like a couple? Okay, it's very nice and they share things and whatever, but like you have this very strong bond that you both are lifesavers.
I think definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never even realized.
Yeah,
that,
I never
but
even we never even thought about it, but now that you're asking,
Besides
it,
like
point
the
blank,
obvious
of
of just
course.
having the same kind of interest. So
Right.
it's just like
But no, it's definitely a
you
bonding
know,
experience. There's
coming here on
like
this
this
podcast
phenomenon that
also.
like when somebody gets saved by like a firefighter or whatever, they'll start like having feelings for them because like when you're in a
Right.
it's a bonding experience to be in like a very adrenaline filled situation with somebody. So yeah, in the case of us, it really just brings us closer, and
we've
it's
delivered
really
babies
special.
together.
Yeah, it's
Really?
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really fun to deliver a baby with your husband when it's not you. It's so great.
Only imagine.
There's no trauma. Like there's no recovery. It's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really special.
Really, really special. I'm really blown away by you guys on many different levels. I mean, the fact that, there's just, personally, there's so much in life to deal with. So I can't imagine adding that another component of being a medic and just running out. So for what it's worth, kol kavod, we have 6,000 plus medics, but every single one of them is a whole world, and you're saving a whole world every time you save someone. So it's really, really remarkable.
I think it's kudos also to United Hatzalah and to Ellie Beer and to you and to anyone else who works for the organization. You don't feel like you're one of over 6,000 volunteers. You literally feel like you are the only volunteer, and that is wild. Like, what a concept. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that you're treated, the respect that you're given, the amount of encouragement and
Support.
support. Amount of encouragement, trust, support. It's really...
You really do feel that I'm part of a community.
It is
United
beyond.
Hatzalah?
It's a family, 1,000%.
And you have a community chapter, and
Yeah,
we
of
do.
course. Tonight we're actually going to I don't know how you say it, Erev Gibush,
Yeah.
get together. That's so not a good word.
No, recreational fun support.
And this is like strictly for couples, but
Evening
not
of
only couples who are
recreation.
members, but like everyone.
Right, no.
Yeah, because even before
For
I
volunteers
joined...
and their spouse.
Yeah. So
even
for us,
before I
it's
joined,
cool.
I was still going to those just as the wife, as the spouse of a volunteer. And now we go together.
So what are they doing tonight?
We don't really know.
It's a surprise, actually.
Wow.
They've been like really secretive
That's
about it. It's
fantastic.
been on the calendar for months. I think some type of barbecue.
Wow,
Hoping-
we're really
So they
excited.
show
It's like a family
appreciation.
reunion. It's amazing.
Right.
They show
Oh, they
appreciation.
always-
It's huge. It really gives it that motivation to continue. Because the next night, if you're bathing your kids and a call comes out and you're like early, it's like in the middle of the night and you're like, oh God, I'm tired. You'll go
Right.
because you just got
Oh,
that.
it's super, super important.
It's so valuable.
The way they are treated. I mean, I've got United Hatzalah socks on. Like everything they just, and it really does help because there's a lot of really, when you're driving, it's easier to go on a call. 3 o'clock in the morning in the winter, it's really difficult. As much as you want to help to get out of
course.
bed, and giving that push just gives it a little bit more of an oomph,
Absolutely.
and you do it, and it's great. But it's really cool doing it as a couple. I don't know. Last night I did the Ashlama. I'm forgetting all my English. The refreshing course. It's like part of it's online. There's a part of it that we have to do online. And Nechama did hers a few weeks ago, and I've been busy.
I
And
should
was
have just done it with you.
but
Next
it was
time
just
I'm going to do it together with you. Yeah.
just like very cute to just like be like, okay, how long is it? What was it? Okay, you had those questions. We discussed it. Which answer I got right? Which answer I got wrong? Like we reviewed it. It's like
It's pretty cool.
it's like cool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Do either one of you have parting words or messages or, I'm just thinking like, oh, there's this guy in Passaic and there's this girl in Baltimore, and who would have thought? Here they are living in Israel, saving lives. What I'm taking away from this is just like anyone living in America or living in the diaspora, like you could make these changes. You can create your own life, live intentional living, and create. Just, I don't know. I feel very inspired right now. Wow. And I do this for a living. That's a lot. But anything specific you wanna?
I just want to say that if anyone's on the fence, if anyone's thinking, wow, I wish I could do that, or that seems so hard or impossible, or I have too much going on in my life, just go for it. Personally, I joined originally just so I would be well equipped to deal with Khalila if one of my children was choking. And then I realized also like, wow, this is so cool. There's some type of help in the world that's not intuitive. There's some help that's like a shoulder to cry on, helping somebody with their bags. This is the type of help that you need to learn how to do. And once you do learn, it gives you the tools to save lives, to help people, whether you're in the mall or called to a call. So if anyone's on the fence, just go for it. The Hebrew is scary. I did it in Hebrew, and I have
There's also an English option.
There is also an English option. That is true, but just depending on like what's available at the time. Don't let it stop you. If I could do it, anyone can do it. I assure you.
That's
and
awesome. Yeah.
It's great. It's a very mutually beneficial experience. You know what I'm saying? Like people think that we're just helping people, but we're being helped so much as well. Like we're filled up from this too. So
that's a really important point.
Yeah,
it's not just giving; it's receiving.
Yeah,
it's meaningful.
It's really,
it's also just a really cool. I mean, that's the whole concept that they did, is that it's literally anywhere and everywhere. Like you have the knowledge, and you're just able to help somebody in an airport, on a bus, and be able to be that assistance
on a plane,
mm-hmm. like, and just anywhere, like, exactly, and just to really be able to in your office, and it's really cool.
Well, now I have to go home and rethink about all my trauma from childhood.
No, yalla. When are you taking the course?
No, you got it.
There's even courses in English.
In your own way. Everybody gives in their own way. Oh, even somebody who's a spouse of somebody going on a call is still there in the support role. I don't think that, if anything, they're doing more because they're enabling them.
Absolutely. So. I always say that. I always say behind every medic, there's a spouse. In your case, it's unique. It's double whammy.
Yeah. Double whammy.
But, wow.
Yeah, and just throughout Israel, by the way, there's just so many volunteers from so many different backgrounds of everything. You go on a call, and there's a Muslim, Arab that you're both wearing those orange vests, and there's this like automatic bond, and all of a sudden every stigma that we read in the news and the media is broken. We're both there for the same goal.
Well, you just flew to UK with that's exactly what we were trying to represent.
With Amir. I have a friend from East Jerusalem who's we had an amazing time.
I saw those pictures, made me really happy.
We all keep up on our WhatsApp group. Yeah, we're gonna do a get together and do a little barbecue. It's super cool, and it's super.
And that's not necessarily the chinuch, the education that we got growing up in religious homes. Maybe I can even say, if we have the audacity to make that statement. So it's good to know that when you move to Israel, it really expands your sense of unity and community.
And you said it very well before, by the way. It's like you go through the motions of life, of work, of this and that, and those are all important and awesome things, but like it's almost like my hobby. Like that's, it sounds like funny, like you're people always people ask me, you still work for Hatzalah? Like, I don't work for Hatzalah.
Exactly.
Work is work. Nothing wrong with working for
It is our hobby. But like that's how nerdy we are. Hobby. Like some people go skiing, some people go surfing. We go on Hatzalah calls. We love it.
I mean, do you know what kind of people that makes you?
Well, I don't know. I just said that it gives back to us too. Maybe we're
stairway to heaven.
Maybe we're just being selfish. I don't know.
Listen, whatever floats your boat. I don't know what to say. Like, my hobby is like TV and Netflix, so that just made me a really bad person. No, it really says a lot. If that is your hobby and this is your love and this is what you like doing on Friday mornings, it says a lot about both of you. So really, you have all my respect, and you should just have continued strength and ability to continue saving people and influencing people, and just keep it up. It's really, really remarkable.
Thank you so much for having us on.
This has been awesome.
Thank
you.
Happy
Tu B'Shvat.
Tu B'Av.
Did you like that one? Tu B'Av. I always had that problem. Tu B'Shvat and Tu B'Av.
Yeah, they should have rebranded that a little bit.
Yeah, new branding. So happy Tu B'Av to all those amazing couples out there who are medics. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for listening to the United Humans podcast.
Share this with a friend, subscribe, and we already know you're going to leave us a positive review, so we'll just thank you now for that. Adios.